Alrighty then, this is the 24 Joule Bunn Special, part 5, I think, not sure. Anyway, as you can see in the lower left hand side, I've got the bounce bridge or bounce cock off, and I did an examination of that. Here we've got the hairspring over here with the bounce off. I looked at the bounce again very closely, and the pivots are perfect. And when I took that cap jewel off before and oiled that cap jewel, I'm a bad boy. I really should have taken the bounce and the hairspring off. So I put it in the dunker tank. I should have used the dunker tank just to do the testing of it to see if it improved the amplitude, and then stripped it down and had a look at that jewel, right? So bad boy. So anyway, at the end of the day, it worked out fine. So I've found, I'm going to shine a light on there and see if I can get myself a close-up, that upper bounce cock has a jewel in it that's cracked, and that's what was causing the end shake, was the cracked jewel at the top. And it's not a small crack, because I could swear I couldn't see anything from the top with the microscope, but when I looked at it from the other side, it's a significant crack, not a small crack. So let's have a look at that right now. Alright, I'm moving my flashlight around high intensity underneath that camera just so I can see that crack. And as you can see on the left hand side where that hole is, that is shattered. So that jewel is absolutely shattered. So that jewel now needs to be replaced with an equivalent jewel. And I've got to make sure it fits on the hole size is accurate. And I have to make sure that the size of the jewel is accurate. So it's a job and a half to actually replace those jewels. There's no other way than to just keep trial fitting. You can just place the jewel right on top of the balance pivot to know whether the hole size is correct, but selecting the right jewel will be a bit tough. I do have pin gauges that should help for doing that. If I use the lower jewel as my sample and use a pin gauge, but I can also use my Bergeron jewel gauge to figure out what size jewel I want by just slipping the pivot on the bottom or the top of the balance staff through the various holes in the Bergeron jewel gauge, and then I'll know whether it's a 0.09 I'm thinking it's a 0.10 or 0.11 jewel, and then we'll fit that on and see if the watch is running in perfect condition now. And actually that's a pretty good shot right there. As you can see on the left hand side, that jewel is pretty much shattered. So let's get at it. So I think I can pretty much unscrew these jewels on the top with regular glasses on, I'm hoping anyway. And then from there, you don't want to lose these either, so I'm going to just put these in the container here so I don't lose them. I've got to take the cap jewel off. I'll change screwdrivers here and get a little bit closer. I've got to take the cap jewel off. And then very carefully remove the jewel on the bottom. So, and then I've got to do some jewel matching. That's a tough thing to do, I tell you. I'm telling you, it's a tough thing to do. So, and I think for this cap, I can just wedge this out like I did before when I was cleaning this. So I just get that screwdriver in there on the end and just pry that cap up. I know it'll come up. I just want to make sure I don't lose it on the way up. I'll make a little mark here on it too so I know which way it goes. There we go. That's a common thing to do, by the way, in a watch. You see little dents, and this particular cap did not have one. I think I could probably pick this up with Rodico. It seems like it's nice and loose in there, so it almost came out. Never force the parts. Never force the parts. I know it's going to slip back in again. I just know it. I'm coaxing it right now. It's coaxing it, and it's pissing me off. I could just push it from the other end, but I want to be very careful with this because it's a nice jewel. Nice gold setting in the cap jewel. Come on, you stupid cap jewel, get out of there. Man, that was almost out. Do you enjoy watching me struggle here? I hope so. I may turn this the other way around and just let it poke it out. I think because I don't have the bounce fixed to something, it's a little bit tougher because the bounce is normally fixed to something. And then I don't have these sort of issues. And is that in focus? I don't know. Is that focus, hocus pocus? Are you in focus? You are. I'll just keep working on it. Patience is a virtue. I put my finger down on the side here so I can keep this in place. Here we go. Out. Oot. Put that there. Let me have another look at this jewel. Yeah, it's kind of weird because the jewel looks good from one side, and the other side it doesn't look so good. It's not to look so good. So it's pretty easy to push a jewel out. You just grab a stick like a piece of pith wood. Trying to find the right one here. Like that, and they often just fit right there, or you can take a stump as well from a just coaxed it on the side, and there's the jewel in the setting. And let me have a look at that again. Oh yeah, that's cracked. The jewel is cracked on one side. It ain't looking so sharp. I tell you, it looked fine from this side, but the other side not so good. So I've got to put that in my jeweling tool and then push that out very carefully. And if I can manage to keep the jewel intact, then I will. So I'm going to get my jeweling tool out and do that. All right, this is my Seitz jeweling tool, S-E-I-T-Z. It's from Switzerland. Seitz jeweling tool. So you don't use these a lot, but when you need them, you need them. I got to make sure I don't slam this down on anything. So I think I'll just move this out of the way, because if I have things in the way, I tend to hit them. So there's not a lot of. I want to make sure that stays on the mat where it's nice and soft, and I can lower that just a bit like that. That's good. So this is a Seitz jeweling tool. So the trick here is to find the right stump to push this out. So take the tool out like this. And I got a bunch of pieces, and I'll show you how those go together in a second. There you go. And this little jobby-do that I picked up is great for holding the jewel in place. So the setting, it's holding the setting in place, and then I've got to pick the right pump here to push that out, or the pusher actually. So that's not too difficult to picking the pusher picking. So I'm going to just move this aside, and we'll do that. All right, the way this tool goes together is pretty basic. You've got your pusher or anvil, whatever you want to call that. I should look up names for all these things first, but that just goes in like that. It's got a bit of a bouncy happening there. So that's a very pliable spring on there. So, and then when you put this in, it's got to push down like this, like that. So it goes in, I believe, like this, and a square here, and there's a square thing to meet it, right? So I'm just going to put this in like, I gotta put my glasses on. I think working without my glasses sucks. So there we go. So that's like that. And now I can just, you move that out of the way like this because you've got to pick the plunger. So now I got to get close, deep and dirty to make sure I get the right plunger for this thing. So, and what you do there is you've got to just basically get down close and make sure the plunger is right. Because what I want to do is just push this out of the setting from the other side, right? So I'm looking at it closely, and this is just, I think it's lightly burnished in. Now if I can find a setting like this, then I will use that. But I'm looking at the jewel again, the hole, and it's pretty friggin' mangled. It's an ugly hole. Maybe some other watchmaker did this, but it wasn't me. I'm looking at that again. It looks like it's going to be a tough, if it's burnished in, it's almost impossible to get the burnishing off of that. So I think I'll just push that out and see what I can go from there. So yeah, and actually it doesn't look like it's burnished in. If it is, it's not much of a burnishing, but the hole itself is like ugly. So I'm gonna push that out. So I need to find the right pusher for that. So I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way here. I'm gonna basically go along the side here until I find the right pusher. I'm gonna flip glasses again and turn this around, and it's probably 75, 85, 10, 105 maybe, 110. No, see, those are concave pushers. I don't need to use a concave pusher. I probably don't want to use one of these pushers. So I think probably it's either a 115, like so, or a 105, because I think a 125 is too big. So let's just put this jewel down for a second and grab the 115, and I'm going to get nice and close and see if that fits. So let's move this camera over just a bit so you can see what I'm up to. So I'm just going to get nice and close here and then look and see if that fits in the hole nicely. It might be a little bit too big. I don't know, it's close. It's really close. Let me look at the 105 and see if that's too small. No, that's perfect. So the 105 fits perfectly into that jewel setting. So you just do that. It's perfect in a jewel setting like that now. Now I can push that through a stump, right? Or I can push it straight through. So I've got to make a decision. I've got all kinds of stumps here, so I may just push that through a stump. So now we got to make sure that stump, the jewel itself, can go through the stump, and will that be adequate? So I just have a look at the stumps here, and it might not. I may have to use that special tool I showed you there to do that. I think this stump is too small, and I think this stump might be too big. I don't know, maybe not. That one looks pretty good. That rests on there. So I don't need to make this any more complex than it is already. So I just want to get that broken jewel out, that's all. So put the stump into here. The jewel's sitting on top right now. Adjust my camera, yada yada yada. There we go. Let me just get a different angle here for you, and then zoom in a bit. There we go, and try to get the right level of zoom on there so you can see what's going on. And there it is. That's the stump. And I said that this is the one I want to use, this one right here. So just, you can see me on top of it. Adjust this camera as well. It's going to be a little bit better. There we go. So just take that up and remove that and put the pusher in like this. And the pusher is nicely in there. Throw that in like that. and I want to turn that jewel around. So because it's going to come out the other side. So turn that jewel around. Look at that work I'm doing with the one hand, flipping that jewel around. Yeah, shows her at 10 and 11. Play at the door. All right, I want to get it as close as possible to where to center, so when this comes down, it can just push through, right? So. And actually, I'm going to look through all of my settings a little later on to see if I actually have a setting with a jewel in it already. But for now, I'm just going to push this out. And I get nice and close. And I may have to nudge that jewel just a bit as the pusher gets close. Now, normally, somebody would buy a jewel in a setting. There we go. So that's in there nice, as you can see. Now all I have to do is put a little pressure on that, and that should push the jewel out. There we go. So now that jewel pushed out, grab my tweezers on the edge here, and then just hold that as the, you can see there's a hole there now, right? I'm going to get in a little closer again just so you can see this. I hate focusing while you're playing, but no, it's better than not focusing. So there you go. So that's the hole, right? So that is the setting for the jewel. So if I'm really lucky, I can find a similar jewel with the same size hole and the same depth on there. And there's the other side of it right now. Now if I look down below, grab this pusher out of here, because the jewel should be on the mat down below, but probably in a million pieces. And there it is. As you can see, this jewel was shattered. That was a, isn't that a song? Shattered. So that jewel was shattered. So I need the same kind of jewel, which would be an upper jewel for a bounce. And so I don't have that end shake problem. So that was the end shake problem. I'm glad it wasn't the pivot, because I would have had to repivot the watch, which would have been nasty. You see if I can get a close-up on that jewel, because everybody likes jewel close-ups. I know it. I wrote it. There it is. That's the jewel there, and it's in a couple of pieces. So, and I didn't shatter it by pushing it through. It was already broken, and that's why the watch was running in all positions but pennant down. And there is the there's the setting now. So now I need to find, if I can find a jewel that fits in that setting nicely, I might be able to just put that jewel in, put the cap back on, because that'll hold the jewel in place, no issue, and then we're good as gold. Otherwise I have to find a setting that's exactly the size to put back into the balance, and that's the balance cock right there. So I'd have to find a jewel that fits in there perfectly, right? And that would, the setting, I'm hoping I can find a setting that just goes bam, like this, and then I'm fixed. But if not, I'm going to go jewel hunting. Oh yeah. So now I'm going to hunt through my stock of jewels. This is like so exciting. My jewel and settings. So I've always made sure I have a boatload of these things. So if I come into a situation where I need to replace a jewel, then I've got the right ones. And you can kind of just look at the jewel setting and look at the one you had, and you can pretty quickly ascertain whether the settings you're looking at are too big or too small. There actually looks like one that's a decent size here. So I just dump these things out, right? And the one here is the one with the hole in it, so it's pretty easy to see, right? So, and there you've got one right there that looks pretty good. But is that too big, too small? What do you think? So I'm looking at that right now, and it looks just a bit too big. And turn it around the other way. Yeah, that's no good. And here's another one, and that one looks too big. You can tell right away by just throwing it inside the setting here, like this, or the balance cock. And if it doesn't go in that way, it ain't right. So, and here's one here that looks pretty darn good, I'd say. But this one here, I believe, is too small. It's the Goldilocks job here. It takes a while to do this, so don't underestimate the amount of time it takes to get a friggin' jewel. And then after you get the right jewel, then what you need to do is throw it on the balance to see whether it's the right jewel with the right end shake on it, because it might not be. So that one looks too small. I think all the rest of these are a bit too small. That one looks nice, but I think it's too small again. Right? So it's a matter of looking at it and looking at the rim and all of that, and I think the rest of these are too small, so I can throw those back into the vial. So as the hunt goes on, as I've like I said, whenever I get a chance to buy some vintage jewel settings with jewels in them, I do it, because they're hard to find. So that's too big, and you can pretty well eyeball the right one. Those are too big, too big, too big. This one might be right size. That actually looks really good. And look at the other side, looks pretty good. Let me look at the other side. This might be the exact same jewel. So I've got one here that looks perfect. So now I got to look at the hole on it, and I'm going to see if I can fit this in the setting here. See what that looks like in the setting, whether that's the right size or not. If I throw that into the setting, is it going to go to the bottom? Man, that is close. That is very close. But it might be just a little bit big. So I need to play with this one here, because I don't know whether that's right or not. Just poke that one out again. Poke Salad Annie. Now if I turn that around and I push down on it, is that the right size? Friggin' close. Holy jeez. That is amazingly close. You have to look at the edge and how it sits in there. So I don't know yet, but that's pretty close there. But I don't think I want to push that all the way in until I find make sure it's right. So I need a block here to work on for this. And you got to make sure that the regulator pins are safe as you're doing stuff like this, right? So if I push this down a bit using this block, wow, that thing went down perfectly. Look at that. That is gorgeous. So now the other issue is the hole on that. I'm hoping is in mint condition. So I need to look at the hole on this jewel to make sure I've got a very good jewel in there, because I was pretty lucky to find one here. And the hole looks really good, but it looks plugged, like it's dirty or something. I'm going to Rodico the hole out just a bit, and I may just push this jewel out again, because I got to make sure it fits on the you know what, it wasn't dirty, it was just the darkness of the mat on the other side. So let me just clean this up a bit with Rodico, and again have a look at it and make sure it's not tarnished or cracked or anything. Man, it looks pretty good. It does look like it needs a little bit of cleaning though. That's the right size. Just look at this again. You know what? It has, I think it has 2 little hairline cracks on it, so it might be better than the other jewel, but I don't want to put any jewel in there that's got any hairline cracks on it. I'm not sure whether that's a crack or not. I may have to look at that under the old microscope. Then I'll push this out again and have a closer look at it. So then what I do then is line up. I use the stake to push that out on the block, and I just line up the candidates. So that's a candidate. I just have to examine the jewel hole again, right? So, and let me look and see if any of these other ones are the same size. I think they're all a bit bigger, so I don't think they're a candidate. Well, this one might be. It's hard to say. Look at the other side of that. That looks like the same size. And again, have a look at the jewel hole up close. It might be another candidate. And examine that. Alright, I know this is boring as hell, but I got some more candidates here that might be okay. That one, the lip is too wide on it. This one's got the same problem. This one's got some funky stuff happening on the side. This one looks pretty darn good, but needs a whole examination. And this one is too big. So this one here looks like the right size. The lip on it is pretty narrow, but I'm going to have a close-up look at the hole itself and see how big that is. And I can see if it's in good condition. I can see whether that works with the pivot, right? No, in the case of this particular jewel, I'm going to give you a little close-up, more of a close-up on this stuff, but in the case of this particular jewel, the rim on it is not wide enough. So this one here is good. It's nice. It's got a beautiful hole on it, but the rim's not wide enough. So this is a reject. And the rest of these are rejects as well. So I'm going to throw those back into the system. This one's candidate, and the old jewel, right? So let me just toss those back in, because I got to start over again. I got like a ton of vials of these jewels. I'm up pretty close right now, as you can probably see the back of my nice hairdo that's not there. So there we go, and put that cap back in, and that was kind of almost successful, but not so much. Not so much. And I got to keep flipping glasses again. My God. So we got another vial here of stuff, and have a close look at that. What I do is just look through the vials to see if there's anything there that might be a candidate, and then I dump them. Dump them. There's no other way of doing this, folks. So if you're bored shitless and you got nothing better to do, this is what you're going to end up having to do. So there's one there, but I think the rim is too narrow for that. Plus, it's got to be the right thickness, right? And this one here is way too small. Looked like it might be good, but looks can be deceiving. This one here looks a little bit better actually, but it might not be wide enough. Hard to say. Turn that around here, have a look. Yeah, I think the rim on this is okay. Check the thickness of it just briefly. It's pretty darn close. So that's a candidate right there. And let me look at the jewel hole and see what that's looking like. So the jewel hole on this one is immaculate. I like the jewel hole. Now the question is, will it fit into the balance? So just let me put this as candidate number 1, because I think I've got a little tiny crack on the side of this one and this one as well. So, but the jewel in this one here is perfect. So I just want to look and see if I got any other candidates here. That one there is pretty darn close as well. And the jewel on this one is perfect as well. So I'm going to have a look at that. I always look at them sideways to see how thick they are. And I know it's not science here, but it's pretty darn close. This one here is a little bit thick on the base. It looks like somebody worked it down a bit. I'll put this over. My candidate list just moves around. That's what it does. Yeah. You got to fit absolutely perfect, or you're going to have problems with the watch. And this one here, the lip is too small, so that's a 0. This one here has got no jewel in it. That's not going to help. This one here looks nice, but it's too small. I can tell just by looking at that that will not fit. And this one here, the rim is too small. This one here looks really good, but it's too small. So there's one candidate right there that I'm going to try out and see if that fits. So let me just put the rest of these back in the vial and go from there. Now you guys can just speed through all of this in YouTube and go, okay, I don't want to watch all this stuff going on, because this is brutal. Now if none of these work, then my second option here is I go into all of my jewels, which I have boatloads of, and I match the jewel up and I put that jewel in that setting, and I let the cap hold it in place, because I can't burnish that jewel in place. It's too small. So I'm going to ditch these two because I see some very small cracks on that. I'm going to leave this one out because I want to have a look at it again. But that's that there. And then let me go to another vial and see if I can find even more candidates. More candidates, as they say. So there's a bunch more here, but these all look a little too small, except for this one here. Is that too small? I think it is. Just looking at it in general, you can tell that when it's too small. You get good at jewel hunting after a while. Yeah, these ones all look too small. They look like they might be for a 12, size 12 pocket watch. So they had a chance, but it got lost quickly. Isn't this exciting? My God. I'm going to get some thumbs down on this video for sure, right? It's like, stop searching for jewels. Just show us when you got the right one. Because I could just zoom, I could speed through this part, cut it, or go, I might do that. I may just speed through the whole damn thing at times 10 for jewel hunting. And then you can see what I've done and go, okay, this guy's a moron. Now these ones here all look nice. They look really nice, but I think they're all too small again. Yeah, there's only one there that looks like it could be a candidate, but those are all size 12s. I'm almost running out of luck here. So I got this one here, so I got a bunch of them there. These actually look like they're in excellent condition. So there's a beautiful jewel there. I bet you it's too big. That is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Now the other thing I can do is with these jewels is I can put them in my lathe and cut them down to size so they fit. That is a gorgeous jewel, but I know it's not going to fit. It's gorgeous. So just do this and go, no, does not fit. This one's the same thing, and it also does not fit. I think they're all kind of does not fits. This one here is nice, but oh man, that's close. That's a might fit if I push hard. Let me look at that from the top perspective. It's a nice looking jewel. So that setting I could turn down a bit if it was the right thickness. Just put that right on top here. And friggin' looks like the right size. So that is a candidate. That's brand new. It's a brand new jewel setting. And this one here I think is too small, is it? Or is it? There's the original, right? And there's this one here, which I'm not sure if that's too small or too big or what. Let me just put this in here. Oh my God, that fits nicely. Let me poke that down. And you see that one there fit really nice. So it didn't have, there was not much work in putting it in, which is nice. I still have to look at the jewel, but this one here might work nicely because it seems to be fitting really nicely around the edge there, and the hole looks very nice on it, but I gotta hold it in while I'm looking at the other side. And see if that, yeah, that's nice. So that one there is gorgeous. So that's a potential. That is a very high potential, actually. So let me see with some of these three here. I don't think any more of them are candidates here. I'll have a look, but I don't think so. No. It's too big, and that's too big. This one here was, I had this one on top of that one, so not sure what size that is. So all you do is you take the jewel, hold it sideways, and then take the balance cock and then just say, is that fitting or not? And if it's not going in like this, then it's going to have, you're just a little bit too big. And like I said, you can take a lathe and try to cut her down, but you're better off not messing with that. So that's like a potential, but sort of not really there. But so I'll throw the rest of these back in. Like I said, I may just use that one that fit perfectly. That was nice, actually. So, which was this one right, I believe it was this one right here. Hopefully it's deep enough. And clean. This one here is also gorgeous, but that ain't fitting. I don't think that's fitting. No, I have to take material off that one. This one here was also very good, and this fit down to the bottom like I showed you before, and the jewel in there is new, and it looks like it's the right size and everything. So all preferences, I'd rather have this one here in there, even though it's not as pretty looking as the other one. That functionality is more important. So this is my number one choice here. Number two choice, this one just looks a little bit different, and I think it's not going to sit as nicely into the hole. So what I'll do now, let me look at this last little bunch of jewels. Oh, look at that, a ton of them, and they all look kind of good. So let me recork this one. I think I may just throw some of these back in and say, okay, that's done and dusted. I'll just put this over here so I can redo these after. And there we go, a whole bunch more. And if I look at these and look at which ones might work, these look like they're pretty vintagey. This one here looks like it might work. Actually, that's nice as well. Got plenty of selection today. So that's pretty good there. So I'll test that one. Let me go to the balance cock here and then just check it out and see if it's actually going to fit through here. Yeah, close but no cigar, my friends. Frig, that is really close too. Maybe you know what, that's kind of going in. I think that'll go in. So I can be a candidate as well. I just love this one here, but it's not fitting nicely. So and these ones here I think are too small. So that's no good. But this here, there's some more here. Let me have a look at some of these. This one here maybe. And this one has got a gorgeous jewel in there as well, and I think that's probably, is that going to fit? That one fits. So that fits. Look at that, snugs right in there. So that is a candidate as well. So these two here are really nice candidates. So what I'm going to do now, this is my bottle of potential jewels. This one here is also nice, and is also potential. And let me have a look and see how it fits. Nope, see, that's too big. Doesn't take much for it to be the wrong size. So that's no good. Looking around here. Yeah, let's throw all these in, and then I'm going to be showing you what I do then for fitting them. All right, let me just stop this for a second. Start. Okay, having looked at a boatload of jewels that I have, I'm going to throw these ones back in. They're all kind of potentials. What I have to make sure now is that the jewel will fit it's the right end shake, and it's going to fit over the balance staff pivot. So I need to do that, and that's basically a fitting process. So I want it to be able to sit in there nicely, and not have too many problems with end shake. Did I test this one yet? I think I did. Let me have a look. It's a shiny one. Yeah, I did. It's too big. So this is the Goldilocks jewel setting fitting thingamajobby. So it takes a lot of time, but luckily I've got a shitload of jewels and vials and settings, so I don't have to look too hard usually to find the right jewel. So now what I do, I'll just put this aside for now. I'll throw these ones in, probably these vials up here later, or just maybe back into this one here to keep the smaller ones together. And so I've got the balance here, right? And the upper pivot is there, so I want to fit that in. So let's just pause this while I set things up. Alright, now the job I have is to take my candidate jewels, which I think are pretty good, and see if they'll actually fit on top of the pivot. So I should probably put a different set of glasses on for this. To do this, I got to get nice and close on this, which is very it's not an easy job. Somebody's got to do it. So I just want to make sure it's on and there's not too much end shake, or side shake actually. So I got to get my close-up glasses on. I'm going to hit the camera again in a second. So just move this camera out of the way just a bit, a tad, so I could feel it on my hair. Alright, so just take that and place that on the wow, so that one goes through nicely, as you can see. That sits in there nicely. And I'm not sure if that's too tight or not right now, but the pivot is coming through, just barely coming through, which is nice. It's kind of what you want. So that pivot coming through should hit the upper jewel. So I'm going to look at that sideways now and have a look at the way that's sitting sideways. So this one looks really good, but I'm going to try another one as well. So this is definitely a candidate. Alright, I'm moving that way out of the way as a candidate, and I'm going to try this next one here and see how close this one fits. Every now and then things just pop out. Pop eye. Pop out eye. Also, when I reassemble this, the whole thing could go to shit in a handbasket, so. Jeez. Trying to be very careful with it so I don't affect the hairspring. And just place that on nicely, so. And it's not easy. There we go. So this one fits exactly the same as the previous one, which is nice because it's got a little tiny bit of side shake, but not a lot. So these two fit perfectly. And this was the other one I was going to try, but it looks a bit thick. You see. Need to hold these two beside each other to see how thick they are. No, it's not that thick. I'm going to try this one as well. Although I think the other one is preferred. So I think this one is, although it might fit. Obviously squeezing things a little too hard here. And by golly, this one works too. So this one's nice as well. It looks like it fits very nice as well. So that's 3 candidates that I have for this. So I'm going to toss these 3 candidates in lighter fluid to clean them up, and then I'm going to just take all the rest of these and put them back in the vial. And now I've got 3 candidates that might fit perfectly. So now these jewels need to go for a little bit of a bath, so I'll just throw them in this little container I have. I don't want to waste too much lighter fluid, and then I'll just pour some lighter fluid in here like that. And I'm going to swish those around. Swish them around. That way they get swished. Should I use my brush for this or not? I don't know. I think I will. I'm just going to go inside here. Let me just zoom that in. And I just want to just swish this around a bit, because that lighter fluid will get rid of any grease on these. So I got 3 candidates for jewels. For the upper, balance cock jewel. All of them work, all of them fit, and all of them look like they're the right size for this particular watch. So they all stick out ever so slightly, which is perfect. And then, so I think that they're all definitely strong candidates. So, and it's a lot of work to replace one of these thingy jobbies. Let me see, I need a piece of watch paper to put these down on so I don't mess up my thingamajobby. I'm going to get some of my 1,000 pieces of paper here and put one down, and that way we can just put that down here. 1, 2, and the third one would be 3, right? 3. 1, 2, 3. Move that away, off to the side. Don't smoke when you're doing this, because you'll blow yourself up. So, and I think the ones, there's 2 of them that are exactly the same that I really liked, right? This one here looks like it's got a ruby kind of jewel in it, which is nice. So I think I like this one here, and I like this one here. They look a bit higher end or something, right? But these two both work, so this one works really well too. So I think I'll try this one here and reassemble with this one. I just have to dry this off a bit. So these ones, this is the original, and these ones can go back into the vial. The scratch on my finger looked like it was a major scratch, but it's not. So these can go back into the vial here. This will be the most boring video you guys have ever watched, but this is what you do. So you need to get lots of supply. It's a supply and demand world. So whenever I've seen jewels that are available, I've grabbed them. I've always grabbed available jewels, and as you can see, I'll show you, but I got like lots of them. And these aren't even the jewels, these are jewels in settings. So the best thing to do is to get a jewel in a setting, even though if I had to, I could probably replace the jewel that was in the original setting if I have to. So I don't want to, so I'm going to throw this over here, and this should dry off fairly fast, but I'm going to use my little plunger or squirter here to dry this off. So let me just grab that with the Rodico and do that. You can sort of see that off camera. You don't want to do this because those jewels will go flying again. And those are also candidates if this doesn't work. So I'd like this to work. That'd be perfect if this worked. It would make my day. Make my day. Go ahead, make my day. This is the world's most powerful handgun. Blow your head clean off. Do you feel lucky, punk? Do you feel lucky, punk? Where's the original? Oh, it's in there. Okay, it's all good. Let's dry this off. This takes like a minute to dry it off, lighter fluid on this, because there's almost none. As you can see in the paper, it's already dried off. So this one here is the candidate. So what I'm going to do now is place that back into the balance. So you just move these ones out of the way on the paper, although that's dangerous. Maybe I'll put the two other candidates inside the center here, so I don't have to worry about this watch paper. And then what I want to do is just put this one back on in the balance, right? And I'll just place it in for now and then put it on that. So I got that. This is a gorgeous jewel, by the way. This is in mint condition. No cracks, no blemishes. Like the day it was born. The day it was born. So I can just throw that in there. Come on, do it properly. Like that. I just don't want to press it the wrong way here. Never know where the camera is. That is the thing of beauty. Just to make my life simple, I'm going to put the oil in on this side. Just a little tiny bit of oil for this good old jewel. Perfection. It's just sitting there on the top. I'm a-telling you. I'm a-telling you. And then I want to put this back together again, so let me see which way it goes. It goes this way, the other way. So look at this again. I want to make sure that it's clean on that side, so let me just get a little bit of Rodico in there. Some guy said I have the world's dirtiest Rodico, but I don't think I do. I think there's other people with dirtier Rodico. And that is shiny, folks. Shiny. So that's pretty shiny. So I want to focus this a little bit so you guys can see what the heck I'm up to. As I chat away. Chat away. And that, my friends, is what I do. Actually, that's the way it goes, right there. That's perfect. That's in nicely. Now it's screw 1 and screw 2. Screw me and screw you. Now it's time not to breathe, okay? Because whenever I breathe, I screw this up. I gotta not breathe. Oh, you know what? I need to get the other screwdriver because this one here has got a seized head on it. I need to replace that screwdriver or something. My hand, just tighten that just a little tiny bit. I don't want to tighten it too much. I want to put the other one in first so that they're kind of equivalent torque on them. Of course, I dropped the screw, which is not a good plan. And I got to turn this thing around. This mat's actually pretty good because it's got these grooves in it which catches stuff. And it's a dollar store mat. So it costs $2 because crap at the dollar store never costs $1. Alright, no breathing. So the dollar store, alright, I'm tighten that one up now. So now that's together. And now I'm going to go away and put this together because I usually do that under the stereo microscope. So let me just put the balance cock back together. So I've got yet another problem with this watch. The pivot on the very top is slightly bent, just slightly bent. So I don't want to put that in without adjusting that pivot. So the way I can do that is probably burnishing it in a J-Cot tool will straighten that pivot out. It's probably the safest way to do it. I think if I took my tweezers and just tried to milk the pivot straight, I might break that pivot off. So I don't want to do that. So let me, I think that's one technique though, is doing that. So before I assemble this, I need to straighten that pivot, which means I've got to take the hairspring off because I don't want to foul the hairspring, which means I got to mark where that hairspring stud is. It's actually completely even. It's just slightly off from that screw there. So I'm going to be a bad boy and mark that ever so slightly, so I can have a record of where that was, right? So let me just readjust here. So this is going to be a longer video than you thought, but this watch just, I'm having fun. So I think it's just around there. So it's right around there. So that's marked. It's just a little, take your marker and just put a little tiny mark on it. And then when you melt or take the hairspring off, which I should be able to do with these two screwdrivers, you're not going to forget where that pivot was, or sorry, you're not going to forget where the stud was for the balance. I'd probably put that in a smaller hole so it doesn't move around that much. And the fact that I have to do all this, I'm going to have a chat with my friend and say this watch was in worse condition than you thought it was and I thought it was. So I got it. It looked beautiful, and functional are two different things. So it's not necessarily the same. Just saying. So just going to milk this off. Oh, what do I do here? Don't squish it. This was not on tight at all either. Like, I'm thinking not tight a bit. So I have a device that that can squeeze that collet just a bit, which I think it needs some squeezing. I don't know, this thing is in worse condition than I thought, so my job is to make it in the best condition. Come on, get off. I think one of the hairsprings is sticking through the balance, or the pivot. So I'm going to put that aside now, so now I've stripped this down. Didn't expect to have to do this. I was hoping to just wrap it up, folks. But there's always something, isn't there? Not sure if I can milk that or not. I don't want to have to heat it up. One way of doing it is to heat up your tweezers. I get a pair of fine tweezers like these ones here, and you can heat those up, and then when you heat it up you can just go milk the end, and then that might do it. I just have to get a different pair of glasses on. I also have another device that might work better to do this. I'm a little reluctant, but I think the J-Cut tool is probably the best thing to do here. It's a little more work, but it's a smarter way of doing it. So we bust out the old J-Cut tool. Alright, this is setting up the J-Cut tool for use. I always usually put a piece of paper in there, and just prevents the J-Cut tool from getting scratched. And of course when you're talking it just falls right off. So, and then I put the J-Cut tool in here, and this particular end here gives me from, see if I can get that in there, kind of messy, but anyway, this one gives me like from 7 to 12 for pivot ends, so it's pretty good. So I don't know if this doesn't have to be too tight, but I need to focus it once more. There we go. That's a little bit better. And if I can get this from the side, it'd be nice, right? So there, from there and from there, so you can see what I'm up to. Although it would be nice if I had the J-Cut tool in this direction, but I don't, so stop bugging me. So there we go. So this is loose here now. I got that set for 7, which is too much, so I gotta take this out. It's a little stiff, and I think I'm going to use 11 or 12. I think I'll use 11 here and push that in. This thing's not going in easily, is it? I gotta put some oil in this, I think, because it's tight as hell. Okay, it's good enough. Okay, so that's set for 11 right now. And there's the ditch there for it. And I'm going to use a bit of Rodico to clean that off. Now on this end you want to put a little tiny bit of oil, because you don't want the other pivot to now have a problem. So I put a drop of oil on that. And I need to get out a burnisher. Oh. So I got my amazing tools here, and I just happen to have a burnisher. There's a burnisher. And then I've got to make noises and moan while I'm doing this, because it makes more. Because I don't need to take any material off. I just want to straighten that pivot up. So, and I'm praying and hoping that this will work. So it's like I told you once before, when you're doing watch repair work, it's always good to pray. So I got that. I'm not sure if I got enough room in there to put that balance in. Turn that around like so, and then that will sit in like this, but I got to put the bow in first. So the bow needs to go in. So I'm just going to put this down for now, and then get my bow. And this is the bow. And so what you do here is you just need to put it in and wrap it around. So start backwards like that, and then put the bow in. I'm hoping I don't break my bowstring here, and then squeeze it like this, and then do a turn on it. One turn. It's a pain in the ass, actually. It doesn't work that well. You just need to do one turn on the damn thing. Oh, come on, turn. That didn't work. I'm having fun. Squeeze that together and do one turn. So I'm doing a turn in this direction. I got this friggin' thing is in the way, so there we go. One turn. So there it is, and that will make sure that that goes back and forth. I think you can see that in the top video better. So this one here is, the camera angle here sucks, I apologize, but I don't think there's anything I can do to make it better. If you just go up like that maybe a bit, that'll give you a little bit better of an angle there. There we go. So that's that, and now again switch glasses, because you want to put this in. You want to put the balance in very carefully, and the teeth of death will then be hooked into the balance. So let me just put that down like this. Alright, that's exactly where I want it. So I tighten that. So now the balance is in the right place. And now I got to get the teeth over there so I can spin this thing. This is all under the premise that it works. So I'm going to just move this so it's not getting in the way. And I just need the teeth to grab that balance ever so slightly like that. That should be fine right there. You don't want to go too far with it because then it'll get in the way. So that's good there. Like so. And then it's a matter of spinning it. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of oil on the burnisher, and I want to use the smooth side of the burnisher. So I want to be able to take this thing and just basically heat it up enough to be able to straighten it up and not break it. So it's probably bent because the jewel was broken. It's had some time to be in there. So, and at the end of the day, if this doesn't work, then I have to replace that balance staff. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So just get that in like that. And I'm going to turn this. I'm not sure if that's working or not because it's pretty tough. It's pretty darn tough. I think it's bent it a bit. The balance is jumping out of the groove. I have to actually move this back just a bit because these little forks are a bit too aggressive. Just put it right there. And then try this again a bit. Oh, I think that's good there. Yeah, I'm not seeing the bend anymore, so now I very carefully have to back this off, like so. And then I'm going to grab the balance very carefully and lift that out of place. So that's pretty much how that's done. And then I need a piece of Rodico here. I just need to get the oil off the end of it here and have a look at it. And that's looking pretty straight, folks. So I think I may have solved the problemo. At least I'm hoping I did. I'm just hoping that balance is as strong as it was before, because it's going through and straightening it up is a little tough on the metal. So we'll try it out and go from there. So there you go. That's the use of the J-Cot tool there to straighten the pivot, which I think is a safer way than trying to straighten it with heated pliers or something. So I have to take the J-Cot tool apart, and then I'll be right back. Alright, I've got this now feeling pretty good. So the pivot's pretty good on the top there. I've got the new jewel is nicely into the balance here without a problem. The only problem I saw here was that the hairspring collet was loose as heck. So I'm going to tighten that hairspring collet just a little bit using my hairspring collet tightening tool that costs like $300. Alright, I'm back and fuzzy. Back and fuzzy. So this is the Bergeon hairspring collet tightening tool, the 3007. So specially made to tighten hairspring collets safely. So not cheap, but I decided at one point to bite the bullet and say, all right, I need to have this tool to tighten collets, because I have no other way of tightening collets. I can loosen them, but I can't tighten them. So in this situation here, I've got to pick the right tightening down tool. I can put these things away because I'm not going to use them. So get rid of that and get rid of that. It's good to keep a tidy desk, by the way, because if your desk is not tidy, then you're going to get hit in the hidey. My God, that doesn't rhyme at all. So I'm just going to get this stuff out of the way here. And this is for the bottle there, and this is all hope and pray that all this works properly, right? So here you grab the hairspring, and you got the Binford 5000 hairspring tightening tool, and you want to put it in at an angle. So I want to find the right hole to put that into. Might be it right there, I think. And then all you do is turn this like so, and it tightens the collet. Let me just look down on this because I don't want to crack the collet. Make sure that it's in. Oh, it wasn't in. Look at that.
I'm just going to make sure there's enough of the base of the collet there to be able to tighten it. It's pretty tricky, actually. And I want to make sure I get the right hole, because I think the hole I had was too small. So I want the middle one. Just widen that out and see if it fits. It looks like it fits. I think I want to put a little bit of downward pressure on this as I turn this to lock it in. I don't think that's in. I think that's... Oh, I think it was in. It was looking like it wasn't in, but it actually was in. I may use my fingernail here, but I just want to make sure that that crack for the collet is on either side of that. Right, and then just push down with my fingernail just a bit. That thing in there? Gee whiz. This is a lot tougher than I thought. Looking at the diameters of these things to make sure that they're not too small or not too big. Because the bigger one you'd think would work better, but the one with the smaller diameter might work better. I am not sure. All I know is I don't want to screw up the collet. That tightened it a bit. All right. Now, get back to the watch I was working on and very carefully move this over to here. And if I recall, it was like here. And I pulled a stake out. That is perfect. And push that down. So there we go. So now it's down and it's in place. I'll just lift it up to make sure I'll lift it up by this first. And then I want to make sure that that hairspring's on. I think it is. So it should be able to lift the movement up, which it did. There, now I need to just put that back in place, that's all. Alright, I got the balance back on, but I've got to tighten that little tiny screw right there a little bit more than I tightened it before, because I do it under the microscope and it's a little bit easier, and I use a piece of Rodico to support the, I showed it to you in another video, but I use a piece of Rodico to support the mounts. There we go. So that's tightened. Now, the question is, will the watch run? So I wound it a bit. I got to make sure I keep my eye on the pivots in the bottom, especially the second-hand pivot. I don't want to get that to get fouled at all. So what I will do, I need to put it in a movement of some sort. My really nice movement is not where it should be, so it's hiding. So I need to put this in a movement and then put the balance in. So I said put it in a movement, but I meant put it in the movement holder. So I've got to slide this balance in, and I got to see which side the bounce, the pallet fork is on this side, so I'll put it on this side. And which side is that jewel on? I don't remember. Don't remember. Stop bouncing. So the jewel is facing that way. That way. Jewel is facing that way. So I gotta enter it from this side and swing it around. But I don't want to do that, because do I want to do that? Let me think. Enter it from this side and swing it around, which means I should. No, I want to enter it from. I want to hold it like that and then swing it around. So that will work, I think. We just move this to the other side. And I really need some praying and hoping, because I did a lot of work on this one, and it better work or shit will hit the fan. Shit will hit the fan. So there we go. And I'm just going to lower that like so. Make sure it's way outside there, and turn that slowly. And I'm hoping and praying here. I got ticking, which is always good. It's always good to have ticking. Now I don't know where that jewel on the top is sitting right. I'm hoping it is, because ticking is good. And I need a toothpick just to hold this in place while I put this in. And let me see, need an appropriate screwdriver here. All right, there we go. So that, my friends, is pretty good. So I think that jewel is good enough. What is it? Good enough. Good enough. Let me take a photo of that, and I'm going to take a slow-mo video to see what kind of amplitude I'm getting. Have a look at the amplitude here. And we got 180 degree amplitude, which is pretty friggin' good. 180 degree swing on that, which is nice. It really hasn't worked itself in yet, but that's nice. So once again, you saw a lot of work being done here, but the important part here is that when it's pin it down, it wasn't running before. So if I pin it down right now, it's still running, which is perfect. And all other positions, including upside down, it's running. It's running in all positions, which is really nice. So that's good. So that, my friends, I would call success. Success. There we go. And I'm going to reassemble this watch now and go from there. There's a really good amplitude.
All right, there it is, cased and running really well. So that's got a new upper jewel for the pallet cock in there, and it's running exceptionally strong, which is great. So when I've got it cased again, I'll just push this down here, my fingernail, like that, and like that, and there we go. So all I need to do is put the hands in, and we're good to go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pocket watch. Alright, this beauty's working exceptionally well, and the very last thing I need to do is put the hands on. Look at that. I see one little fingerprint. So when I put the movement back in, a fingerprint right here. And it is gone. Let me look on all the edges here. Make sure there's no other fingerprints. I think that's it. I think that's it from a fingerprint perspective. And now I've got to put the hands on. The hands need to come on. Let me turn my camera a little bit here. Up, down, left, right. I don't know why it always seems to be off. I need it in the center. Otherwise I got to move this around. Here we go. And I think that is that, let's get that nice and focused here. There we go. That's nice and focused. So let's put the hands back on. I got hand number 1. I'm just going to make sure they're going on the right way. There's only one way to put these hands on, so that is not the way. Just keep dropping them all over the place, why don't you? I'm very careful with them though, so even when I drop them nicely. So I try to line these up as best as possible. And just push that down. And then have a look at it at an angle. You should always look at it to make sure the left and right sides are level. There we go. That was a bit off. That's good. I'm going to push that down the front a bit. And that's pretty level there. And now I'll get the other hand and put that on before I lose too much time. There's a second hand. I just want to put this on pretty quickly. Otherwise it's no longer in time, right? And what I do for that is just move it over just a bit. Like that, and then press that down. And then you got to look at it like that to make sure there's no problems. I think that is good. I don't think it goes down any further than that. And then I'm just going to pull this out here, the lever, and see when I go back, you'll see that it's perfectly at 12. So, like that. So that's, she's running nice and smooth right now. So I gotta make sure that that is gonna clear the crystal when I put that on. So let's put the second hand on first. Very carefully, and I just have to nudge that on.
And that's on there. And that'll clear, the hour hand will clear that without an issue at all. And then I got to put the crystal back on. I blow out the inside first. Get rid of anything that might be there. And just because I'm a good dude, I'm going to take a brand new cloth here for cleaning glasses. See if I can open this up. Brand spanking new. And lint-free cloth for cleaning glasses. And I'm just going to rub this gently on the inside, like so. Like that. Ever so gently. And then I don't need to worry about the outside. And then I want to spray the, just put that back where it is. And just ever so lightly like that. There we go. Now I've got to snap this down. And you just use your thumbs to snap that down. Fingers or thumbs, and then clean up the thing later. So it looks like it's pressing down on the hand here though. So you got to make sure that doesn't press down on the hand. So you got to look at that hand and make sure that that's not too high. Just pull that out and then measure that. Just hands are just fun. That's all. Yeah, that could go down a bit. So I just get over the top of it like that, and then get the correct side, and then just edge it down a bit. See if I can do that. Is that too much? It's pretty close. That clears it nicely. We go all the way around here to make sure there's no problem. And hopefully that's low enough. That's really smooth now with that new gear in there. That's perfect. I'll just do this and see if that lines up nicely. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now the question is, I'm going to move this out again, and I'm going to move this over like that and see if it touches the crystal on top. It's way too tight, man. Way too tight. I think it's good. It's hard to say. Now, is that going to snap down for me or what? Hold it with all my fingers here and then try to snap that down. There we go. And now I pull that out again and see if that's going to turn smoothly. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. So I'll set the time. Right now it's, I hate going backwards with these things, but it's 1:58 right now, so 1:58, which is right 6, 7, 8, probably 1:59, somewhere in here. It's close enough. So I'll just leave that like that. And always put your thumb on the crown when you're closing it. Turn it around. I don't believe I have any fingerprints here, but I'm going to just get the back, rub the back a bit here. Because it had a lot of action, baby. A lot of action. And I'm not going to close this all the way until I'm sure it's going to run for a while. There it is, running like a dream. Like a dream, folks. 24 joule Bunn special. Required a little bit of TLC, which I gave it. New jewels. Rub down. Anyway, that's the watch. It's gorgeous. And let's just check the timing on it, but it should be fine. So there we go. So thanks for watching this video. Let me get back to you in 2 seconds here.
All right, that's it for today. That's a long video. I'm going to see maybe I can straighten up my hat a bit. Maybe I can shorten all that jewel selection part and do like a ×10 on that, because that took a long time. So I think I'll just shorten that up a bit. And obviously if you've gotten to this part of the video, you've already seen it shortened up a bit. So the watch was, I thought, running really well when I got it, but the main problem with that watch was that the upper jewel on the balance was broken. So it was cracked. It was actually in pieces. So I replaced that. I showed you how I did that. I fitted a jewel in that I had that was perfect, fit perfectly. As you saw, the watch is running with an amplitude of 272, I think, 272. So you ×2 that, and that's the swing around, 400 and some degrees, almost 500 degrees. Well, 272 × 2 is 524 degrees, I think. So that is quite a swing on that pocket watch. That's beautiful. I'm going to let it run for a while. I got it stored right now in my little drawers that I have for watches that are finished, and we'll check it in a day or two, or maybe tomorrow, and see if it's running with good time, and then I will adjust it accordingly. It was running like -9 seconds a day, and I didn't do it in all positions, but that's pretty darn good. So thanks for watching my video. It was quite the adventure. This was I think a 4th video on the 24 jewel Bunn special. The problem that I had with it running crown down was not something with the escapement or anything like that. It was actually the cracked jewel in the front, and I was a bad boy. I dipped it, got it going well, but I thought I had checked that jewel and I didn't, and then when I checked it, disassembled the balance cock and everything, and then pushed out that jewel, put a new one in. It worked perfectly. So it's a great watch. I'll be returning this watch in a week or so, and then starting some work on another watch. So hope you enjoyed my videos. Thanks for watching. That's a joke. And I'll see you next time.